Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, and episode 1 of my new long-term sim. I have moved a team to Las Vegas. Yes, I moved the Oakland Athletics, but I do have plans to launch a new expansion team in Oakland. So the good news for Oakland fans is while your team has moved, with the move out of Oakland went your current real-life owner. So he's in Vegas now, and I'll give you a new expansion team, and you'll have a new owner, and you get a new ballpark, and have a team there. That's coming in future episodes. It's not happening this season. So this is episode 1, but we joined the Las Vegas Bashletics, as they're named, here in 2027. That's where this whole thing starts. I already have a few years of this sim under my belt, and the Bashletics are now ready to roll here in Vegas. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the team and also tell you about one player who I'm very excited about. So here's where things stand right now. We are 51-48. We're 8.5 games out behind Seattle in the West. However, right now we're looking pretty good in the wild card race where we lead that. But there's still a long way to go here. And let's look at some things that have been happening with the Bashletics. This is really the first season. Last season, we did fairly well. We were above 500 for a while. But then I made a manager change this season after things didn't start off too well. And now I'm really happy with the way things are going there. So I'll just quickly show you the front office of your Las Vegas Bashletics. So Dave Roberts is the manager, and like I said, I made a managerial change early in the season when things didn't start off the way I wanted them to. I was already kind of having doubts about the manager that I had in there and his decision on a hitting coach that he hired that didn't look too qualified. So I made a change, brought in a manager where I could hire the hitting coach, and we have a better hitting coach and I think a better manager now too. And he's gone 38-29 since taking over earlier this season. So let's look at the team. Right now, here is the lineup we've been rolling with most of the time. So I have quite a few guys on here who are draft picks. They've come up through the Bashletics fine minor league system. I did move a team to back to the Bay Area too, because the A's real life AAA team, the Las Vegas Aviators, were in Vegas already, and I didn't want to leave them there. So I moved them to Mountain View, California, and I'll take a look at them in a minute when I show you guys a prospect I'm really excited about. So as far as the Bashletics go, though, let's just take a quick look at the lineup. So we brought in Salvador Perez in the offseason to catch. I wanted him for his leadership capabilities, his catching skills, and also because he brings a pretty good bat. And he's put up 1.4 WAR and a 110 OPS plus through 75 games. And I'm pretty happy with the way things are under him. I like having him for his leadership, especially, along with a little bit of a bat to go along with some pretty good catching skills. So here's the first draft pick of ours that we made. Back in 2023, we had the overall 6th pick in the draft. So this was the guy we got that year in the first round. Trey Morgan, real life college player right now. And he's done pretty well for us since coming up. He was doing well in AAA. And then in 2026, he really kind of had his breakout year. He batted .330, 143 OPS plus, put up 2.9 WAR in 119 games for us. And then this year, he's been up since the beginning as the starting first baseman. Not quite where he was last year, but that's okay. He plays solid defense and has a good bat that I know is going to come around. And I'm sure that he is going to produce over the long haul. So that was one draft pick that turned out nicely for us. All right, our second baseman, we brought in Nico in the offseason. Again, another guy here for his leadership. I was also looking to make a couple changes in the infield. I've been really happy with him so far. 2.6 WAR, 100 OPS plus in 95 games for us. Arias is a guy I brought in a trade, not knowing what he might be for us long term, but he has actually turned out to be A good bat, better bat than I expected. I thought he'd be mostly a glove guy, but he was playing second base very nicely for us. And then I moved him over to shortstop when we made some changes in the offseason, and he's been performing well there too. He's put up 2.1 WAR, 113 OPS plus so far for us this season. And we're looking pretty good there. Actually, I'm sorry, he's at third base right now. We have used him at shortstop. Our manager kind of moves these guys around a little bit. But this guy Carrasco, who we brought in as an international free agent in the offseason, we have him signed for a couple of years. He's not hitting well average-wise. And not, like if you look at what he's projected to do, it's just simply not good enough for a guy we're paying $10 million. But I'm going to keep giving him a shot here this season and just kind of see where it goes because he's pretty good with the glove and I think has a little bit more potential than this offensively. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know about some of these and the top end of them. I like his eye. Just don't know if he's going to work out as either a contact or a power hitter long term, but I really needed to, like I said, make some changes in the infield, and I had plenty of money, so I wanted to give him a shot. We only have him for a couple seasons, so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So our outfield, we brought in Santander via free agency, I guess, a season ago, and he wasn't great last year. I thought about getting rid of him, but I brought him back this year, and he's been much better. Like his OPS plus has been up. He's hitting more home runs, driving in more runs than he did last year for us. And it seems like he's been in a little bit of a slump lately, but hopefully things pick back up again. All right, so Clark here is our center fielder. I was a little bit unsure about him because he's outspoken. He's the only guy on the team like that. But last year he was awesome as a center fielder defensively, and he put up 3.1 WAR. This year, similar OPS plus to last season, and we'll see where he ends up. It's looking like he's not going to have a season this year like he did last, but he's got a little bit of time. And if he, with a good glove in center field, I'm okay with him, putting up some not quite as good offensive numbers. I'd like him to be a little better, though. So we'll see what happens there. And I do have some guys coming up behind him who may end up in there. Kelenic was available in a trade from Seattle. I forget exactly what the trade was now. We have to look. Oh, yeah, okay. So they threw another center fielder our way, and we traded Enrique Hernandez to them. This is back in 2023, so it goes back a little ways. And he's been hot and cold, I'd say, for us. Like, if you look at this in 2025, he only put up 0.9 WAR. And then last year, really strong season from him, 122 OPS plus, 3.7 WAR. Got me kind of excited about what he might be able to do. And then we'll see where he ends up this year. But right now, he's on pace to come in, below last year in most offensive categories. But he is a solid glove out there. Okay, now, designated hitter. I just forced Tyler here in at designated hitter. So Tyler Soderstrom is a guy who was a prospect with the A's when I took over this sim, and I've kind of been waiting for him to have a breakout year. Last year he showed signs of it. He put up a nice OPS plus, and now this year he really has taken it to another level, but he hasn't been playing enough. Like, our manager's not using him too often. He's our backup catcher, can play some first base. He's occasionally been out in left field. At one point, I was hoping maybe he could turn into a third base option for me, but his ceiling there just wasn't very high. So he's mostly settled in as a guy who's going to give our starting catcher a break every once in a while, and then mostly DH for us because his glove's just not that great. And I can play him at first base, but we already have a really good young first baseman at the moment. So if he keeps growing there at first base, then Soderstrom may never really get much of a shot there. But I'm forced playing him now at DH as of like a couple of days ago because I want to get him more at bats. So and then we've got a few guys on the bench. I'm probably going to send one of these guys down. It's probably going to be this outfielder here, a guy that I purchased from an independent league team a few years ago. He had a much higher ceiling then. I mean, he still has pretty good potential here, and at times has shown that maybe he's going to be a stud. In 2025, I was pretty excited about this season he had at AAA. And then when he would come up, he just wasn't quite as strong. I thought maybe he needed a little more time. But he's 28, almost 29 now. In last year, he did okay, still nothing like that AAA season he had. And then this year, he's been used, in a limited role, mostly off the bench. He hasn't been getting many DH at bats like he has in the past, and not being used as much as a fourth outfielder. He's just not putting up great numbers. So I may send him down, and here's why I'm going to send him down. So I'll show you this prospect we have going, and then I'll get into our pitching, and then I want to show you just a couple other of our draft picks we've made over the years, and then that'll wrap it up for this episode, and I'll be back with you guys sometime after the trade deadline as I continue with the season. So here we go. Luis Rosales is a first-round pick of ours, third overall, just a year ago, in 2026. So July of 26, we draft him, third overall. It was between him and a pitcher who looked like he was gonna really, be an ace. And this is the direction I went. Did get a little input from P.F. Holden on this, and Rosales was the guy he was kind of excited about too. We had reservations about some things like right here in his personality, but his ratings were just so high, and like not just his ceiling, but where he already was in some of these areas were just so high, combined with his defensive abilities and his speed. This is pretty good range. Wish the error rating was a little higher, but I probably won't use him in center field. His range isn't quite where I want it to be, but I might. If my center fielder struggles, that's where I may plug him in. But we'll see where Dave Roberts wants to use him. I'm about to call him up. So I drafted him last year. He went pretty much right to A ball. For a little while I had the AI managing him, and when they put him in, he was just one game in rookie, and then they stepped in and moved him up to A, where he did well last year. So at the very end of the season, I took over promotions and demotions for him, and I brought him up to high A for a little bit, just for a few games at the end of the season. And then what really, I guess, changed things for him is that this year I had him at spring training, and Dave Roberts, it was a different manager at the time, had him in left field starting in spring training, and he batted over 300, but had other guys in the picture I needed to see, that were older. I needed to see, if they were going to reach their full potential, and I just didn't want to rush him. So I started him at Double A after that. He never really spent much time in High A at all, and I sent him right to Double A after the performance he had in spring training, and he produced, there right away. 123 OPS plus, 1.4 WAR, and then I brought him up to Triple A after 37 games at Double A, and he's continued to hit there. 133 OPS plus, 1.5 WAR. He's batting 371 there after hitting 297 in Double A, and I'm gonna give this guy a shot at the majors. After I'm done recording this episode, I'm gonna send one of those guys down, and I'm gonna call him up, and then next time I check in with you guys, we can see what he's doing. But I'm really excited about what he can do. I think he could end up, if he has a long career with us, really making a run at some things in the Bashletics / athletics record books. So let's go take a look at the pitching and just some team stats overall too. Offensive categories, we're doing okay. Some better than others. I like where our WAR is. Our power numbers are up a lot more than they have been in some past seasons. There's something fun about our ballpark that I'll show you in a minute. I'm hoping I was thinking our power numbers might be bigger based on that. And then here's our pitching. In the past, we've had some better performance from starters ERA, but fifth is fine. I think we look really good here. Maybe we could get these numbers up with FIP and WAR a little bit. And then defense is where I always try to focus with my teams, like strong up the middle. I want a great defensive catcher. I sacrificed a little this year to bring in a little bit better of a bat at catcher because we needed some bats. But I always want shortstop and second base to be the best they possibly can be defensively. And then center field. And I usually don't like to, sacrifice anywhere defensively, but those four positions, catcher, the middle infield spots, and center, I just always make a priority. Like I think a lot of people do in this game. So in terms of the pitching, we do have one guy down on a rehab assignment, but here's what we're rolling with right now as our rotation and our bullpen, and I'm pretty happy with it. If you look at how people are performing right now, it's been pretty good. I don't really have anybody on the roster who I'm really concerned about right now. Um, Nobody's negative in WAR. Everybody's FIP is looking pretty good. Like if anybody gets way up in the fours, and definitely if they hit five, I start to get concerned there. But we only have one starter. One of our less proven starters who's at risk of heading that direction right now. But he's been decent enough. He's our fifth starter right now, and like I said, we have a guy on rehab. So let me go show you him right now too, because he's had a couple starts, and I'm ready to bring him back up again. So Sean Sullivan was our first pick, fifth overall in 2024. So the year after we got Rosales, we came back and got this guy as a starting pitcher out of Wake Forest University. And just like with Luis Rosales, Sean Sullivan was a college player. So they already were more developed than a lot of the high school guys that you would generally get in the draft. And so he moved his way up pretty quickly too. And in 2025, he made his debut for us and did pretty well after putting up some good numbers that year in AAA. He did play some, in the lower levels of the minors when he first came up in after we drafted him in 24. But then, he was ready pretty fast for some, moving up the ladder. So then I gave him a shot, and he did well in the majors, and he's been there ever since. Last year was pretty strong for him. And then this year he was struggling, and then he got hurt, and so he's had a couple starts down in AAA. And I'll probably bring him up now just after a couple of starts, just because we're in the race. I want to get him back up here and see how he's doing. I might give him one more start down there since he struggled a bit this season, but we'll see. I don't want to leave him down there too long. I'd rather him be up here because, if he can get it together, he'll, be one of my top 2-3 starters on the team. So I want to show you, I've talked about two of our draft picks so far, Sullivan and Rosales. Let's look at how we performed in some other drafts, because these drafts have been some of the better drafts I've had in recent sims that I can remember. So, we got Morgan first overall in 23. He's on the team and contributing. Sullivan, who I just mentioned, has been a good pitcher. This one pick here in 25, Caminetti, looked like a really great high school pitcher. But you never know with the high school pitchers, but his numbers were just too good to pass up. And you can see he's already got great potential, but he's not quite as good as he was when I drafted him, and he actually took a hit for a little while, scouting-wise, and has started to climb back up again, because when my new scout came in last year in 23, he wasn't as high on him at first, but now, things are looking a bit better, and I'm hoping that he's a two-way player, but I'm really hoping it's as a starting pitcher that he can eventually contribute. So we have him in A-ball right now, and I'm going to keep him there for a little bit because he still doesn't have a lot. He was injured at one point, and he still doesn't have a lot of innings thrown, even at rookie ball. So he was ready to move on from there, I felt like, after these first few games. So we're going to give him a shot at A, and maybe he'll make it to high A this season, but I'd be okay if he just had a decent season at A and moved to high A next year with the goal of trying to get to double A next year. He'd still only be, he's almost 21, so then maybe he's in triple A by the time he's, 23 and hopefully on your major league roster not too long after that. So Rosales is a guy we've just talked about. Pretty excited about his call up soon. And then Gunderson is a pitcher that we got with our latest first round pick. And the AI wanted to start him right in A-ball. So he's a college pitcher. It makes some sense. Like, he maybe doesn't even need the time in rookie. He's already 22 years old, has some really good base rating numbers already with some pretty good potential. A little bit concerned about the control. I mean, especially right now. Hopefully he can at least get it up here to 45, and we'll see what happens with him. So he's not quite there. He's got a little ways to go before he's going to be coming up and challenging people on the roster. But so like I've had a lot of first round picks that have been looking like they could pan out. So look at our other prospects. We have this starter here who is an international free agent signing. And he's having a really good year. Was having a really good year at High A and is getting some time at Double A now. So we'll see what happens with him. Another outfield prospect. This guy was an international free agent signing that I made back in January of 24, and he has some really good potential. He's still very young, and he's just getting kind of his first taste of ball outside of the international complex. He was up last season and wasn't great, but he's been better this year. And hopefully after this season, maybe next season in rookie, he's performing better and ready to start moving up the ladder. So those are kind of some of the big ones. This guy looks like has a lot of potential. 74 overall, but like the contact was one of the things that got my attention when I signed him as an international free agent in 26. David Guerra. So he's a guy who it's going to be a few years. We'll see what happens. And then, I've got some other pitching prospects here that definitely have some potential. Some of them are struggling right now, like, these two here in their first kind of run at Double A, but that's going to happen. So those are kind of like the main prospects I have going right now, where we've got, 3 in the top 100 and then some other guys who are kind of creeping up. And definitely, far and away, the guy I think to be most excited about is the 4th overall prospect in baseball right here, Luis Rosales, who I will keep you posted on. So the last thing I want to show you is I decided it's Vegas. I want to have fun with this team. I decided just to make our ballpark kind of ridiculous. So it is built for right-handed power hitters. The shortest porch in the majors, 285 down the line. I think 299 is the shortest in real baseball. So I'm 4 feet high on the wall. So just ridiculousness, but this is what I wanted to do. Let's make it fun. And then out on the other side of the park, for the left-handed power hitter, they have a further distance to go, and then they have a 20-foot wall to deal with, and then it's 10 feet in dead center. So a lot of balls going off the wall there. You can see what this does for our the factors, the ballpark factors under home runs. So I am trying to get some guys in here who can take advantage of this, and in some previous seasons it hasn't really panned out yet, but I think sometimes that was related to the things like the hitting coach. I think we've got a good one now. He's not focused on power hitters, he's focused on contact, but I really like the way we're performing now compared to some previous seasons. So we'll see what can happen with some of these guys, with that short porch out in left field. And I don't know, maybe someday if we need to make a hitting coach change, I can get somebody in here who focuses on power hitters, and we'll just see how many guys we can accumulate in the middle of the lineup that can take a shot at the 285 down along the left field line. So I think that's it for now. If you have any questions about the ball club, just post them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I'll check in again sometime between post-trade deadline and the end of the season to give you my next update on the Bashletics, and I will also keep you posted on which season we'll do expansion in so that we can get a new team out in Oakland.